Hello, my name is Tammie Dunn. I wish to read my paper for positive power impact within Mintzberg's game playing framework. It's the assignment for week 3, power discussion. I was on the positive side. Power has many different forces creating it. According to Janice Freites, its principal elements are the agent, who is the driving force behind the influence, and the recipient of the power and influence. Legitimate power derives from authority and social and cultural norms. It involves loyalty, social rank, and the organizational hierarchy, so that the influenced individual believes the driving force agent's use of power is just and right. Cultural values strongly influence legitimate power. Legitimate power, when exerted and not abused, can be mutually understood and respected. Referent power derives from the driving agent's personal charisma and its effect on the recipient of influence. The recipient's attribution of prestige to the driving agent leads to a desire to please or emulate the agent. The level of referent power reflects the level of respect for and the degree of prestige according to the driving agent by the recipient. Expert power derives from the recipient's perception of knowledge possessed by the driving agent of force. Its strength varies within the perceived extent of the agent's knowledge. Examples of expert power are the relationships between attorneys and clients and between physicians and patients. Reward power provides an incentive for the person on the receiving end of influence to change his or her behavior, expecting to receive a reward or recognition. Reward power derives from an attraction from the recipient to the driving agent. Structural power sources can use resources, decision-making authority, and information to achieve an individual or organizational purpose, separately or collectively, to improve business processes and enhance organizational performance. They are often interdependent, serving as levers of influence to generate desired actions. The greater the amount of resources an individual manager or executive controls, both absolutely and as a proportion of the organization's total resources, the greater his or her level of resource power. For example, in most health organizations, a vice president can approve a higher expenditure than a director. Decision power is closely related to an individual's level of authority within the organization. It can be a potent source of power for staff members who are influenced by the decision maker. In most health organizations, only clinicians can make treatment decisions. Administrative decisions, such as embarking on a new business venture, requires executive level authorization. Information power at the organizational level can be a strong foundation of influence when the information is highly desired by others and is closely held or otherwise difficult to obtain. Executive assistants who manage their bosses' calendars possess this type of power. The positive impacts on an organization when an organization's members play political games, according to Henry Mintzberg's power game, are counterinsurgency, leaders fighting back to defend against insurgency, played by those with legitimate power who fight back with political and maybe legitimate means. Sponsorship, junior staff seeking patronage from powerful leaders, played to build power base, in this case by using superiors. Individual attaches self to someone with more status, professing loyalty in return for power. Mentorship and communication are excellent development tools for team building. Alliance building. Leaders building power through peer networks. Played among peers, often line managers, sometimes experts, who negotiate implicit contracts of support for each other in order to advance selves in the organization. Healthy organizations of all kinds take their social responsibility seriously and gain significant benefits in return. Their engaged managers appreciate how much their organization depends on constructive engagement with the communities around it for its sustained success, so they can look forward to social development as a natural part of their own development. Budgeting. Managers striving to increase their unit's budget. Played overtly and with rather clearly defined rules, since prizes resources, not position or units per se, at least not those of rivals. Strategic candidates. Individuals or groups advocating for selection of a specific individual for a key position or office. Is played to effect change in an organization. Individuals or groups seek to promote their strategic candidates through political means. Often combines elements of other games. Empire building as purpose of game. Alliance building to win game. Rival camps, line versus staff, expertise, and lording, a vote during game. Insurgency, following game, and so on. Many play. Analysts, operating personnel, lower level managers, even senior managers and chief executives who must promote own candidates politically before they do so formally, especially in professional organizations. Zoll describes game where the candidate was the individual for the position of chief executive, promoted to the board of directors by the outgoing chief executive. Pettigrew described the game over the choice of a new computer system, which also involved rival camps. See also Stymney for a conceptual view of this game. Whistleblowing. Reporting damaging information about an individual or the organization. A typically brief and simple game, played to effect organizational change in a different way. Privileged information is used by an insider, usually a lower participant, to blow the whistle to an influential outsider on questionable or illegal behavior. This makes me think of Ralph Nader in his 1965 book, Unsafe at Any Speed. Imagine how many fatalities would be reported every year if seat belts had not been developed and mandated, started by Ralph Nader's whistleblowing. Young Turks. Employees or junior leaders attempting to buy the company or take over its leadership. Played for the highest stakes of all, not to effect simple change or to resist legitimate power per se, by to throw the latter into question, perhaps even to overthrow it, and to institute major change. Small group of young Turks, close to but not at center of power, wish to reorient organization's basic strategy, displace major body of its expertise, replace its ideology, or rid it of its leadership. Zoldenberger discussed this game, particularly in the form of an organizational coup d'etat, where the object is to effect an unexpected succession, to replace the holders of authority while maintaining the system of authority intact. In Kenya, back in 1992, there were 3 major political parties led by old-line politicians, characterized by chauvinism and guilty of nepotism. Being so greedy for power, the ruling party KANU was pursuing personal ambitions by being willing to buy, co-opt, and corrupt the splintered opposition. They manipulated and rigged the electoral process to hold on to the presidency. The younger generation of opportunists had enough. The young Turk leaders of Mwangaza leveled the playing field for the 1992 election, which is hardly free or fair. They wished to accelerate the pace of change and get rid of the old style of moral and political bankruptcy. They want to end the despotic state in the name of democracy in a direct, organized, coherent, and systematic political debate. The message they are carrying is of enlightened civic responsibility and awareness. Some of these games, such as sponsorship, while technically illegitimate, can nevertheless coexist with strong legitimate systems of influence. Indeed, they could not exist without them. Others, such as Young Turks, usually highly divisive games, arise in the presence of legitimate power but are antagonistic to it, designed to destroy or at least weaken it. The implication is that politics and conflict may exist at two levels in an organization. They may be present but not dominant, existing as a kind of fifth column, or else politics may be the dominant system of influence and conflict strong, these having weakened the other systems of influence or having arisen in their weakness. The reference I used were the text by Janice Freites, by Hookway's Corvair Felt Impact of Ralph Nader's Unsafe at Any Speed, the Union Leader, Henry Mintzberg's The Organization as Political Arena, Henry Mintzberg's Looking Forward to Development, and Wamutwa's Young Turks versus Old Guard in the Africa Report. Now I'll go and do some negative comments. Thank you. Good evening.